Hello guys and welcome back to The Sims 4 Speedbuild. This is, okay, I don't think it's going out first. I think you're going to see the horse stuff first, but this was the first build for the channel with the new horse pack. Watch me make a major mistake too in this build. I was cracking up so hard. So, I built a couple of things for my personal world, just trying to get a feel for the pack and stuff, because funnily enough, like I was super inspired, but didn't have a lot of I wanted to decorate, but for builds I was like, I'm struggling. So I sat on it for a while and just enjoyed playing like personal builds and stuff. And then I wanted to build this because I had an idea. I was really excited. It's based on a real life house I was in not too terribly long ago. And then I realized something very important. I forgot a bathroom, and I was like midway through nonsense when I remembered that I forgot a bathroom. And this house was already like kicking my tail a little bit. So I definitely set this house down for a little bit and then didn't build the Sims. So now I'm behind because, okay, guys, what happened? So like this house started. So like I sat for like a week with a new pack and just like played and enjoyed it. It's great. It's a great pack. I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm like, I kind of go through phases with the Sims where like I'll play personally and then like I'll play just for the channel, just like building stuff, and then I'll actually have like families to play. Kind of go through those different phases. And so I was really enjoying just playing, and so I was like, okay, now I feel confident enough to like do some builds in The Sims. This one sped up a little bit fast too. I am sorry about that. I was trying to squish it down because it didn't have a right to be as long as it was. So like I sat down to build this one, and then immediately got like my tail kicked by this one, so I left it for a little while and I didn't build because I was like not super, like I said, I was super inspired, but I was like not feeling super confident in what I was trying to build. And so then I got this built, and then I got two other things built. So I was like, oh shoot, I've kind of run myself, because I try to build my speed builds out a little bit ahead of time in case something happens. And so I was like, oh shoot, I've kind of used up my excess. I should build up some excess. So I started building, and the power went out in my house. Not all of my house, thank God, but like where my computer was, and was out for a week and a half. Which screwed up work, but it also screwed up my ability to build, so I ran down the buffer completely, which is fine, except for I'm now going into on-call, which I usually can't record a lot on-call because I'm constantly at work. And then I have a bunch of other things coming up because it's harvest season, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? And then we're going into holidays, so I'm like a little bit freaking out, but it's fine. Because realistically, like, this is for fun, right? And like I tried really hard to keep like a good schedule and stuff. But if I miss a week, I miss a week. Like, I would be really sad about it, but like I don't think anyone's gonna care but me, if that makes sense. Like I don't think anyone's paying attention. Sans me. And I'll get a bit back up. But yeah, this house nearly killed me was I think the initial point of that. Moreover, just that holy cow, I'm behind. I've also started trying to do two videos a week. One that's not Sims and one that's Sims. Sims videos still trucking, still going along, doing okay. The non-Sims videos, a lot harder to keep on track with, and I think it's just going to be a when I have videos to put out and when we put them out. I don't think it's going to be an every Tuesday kind of thing, because certain videos, or certain like mini series, like the Nancy Drews, I try to record all those first before I put them up. Because they're older games, and I want to make sure that I'm not going to run into something like offensive halfway through and then not be able to finish the game. I mean, we're adults here. We can talk about certain things as like historical context, not what's believed on the channel. But still, I want to be careful about the content. So like, I've been trying to play those all the way through. And like Coffee Talk, I'm trying to play all the way through. Not that I think there's anything offensive in that, just that, if there's like super foul language or something, I want to be able to like put the proper warnings on all of the videos and stuff. But I'm thinking about doing a couple other games where I'm like, there's no way for me to pre-record. Like, I kind of want to do a Minecraft series, because I've never like defeated the dragon on my own, and so I've kind of like been thinking about doing. If anyone's familiar with like Muse Farms on YouTube, they what was the guy's name who did it? I think he changed. It used to be the Minecraft Muse, but I think he changed it to like Spumwackles or something like that. And he's not active anymore as far as I'm aware. He stopped doing YouTube quite a while ago. But I was kind of thinking about doing something like that, where like the whole series is working towards the end as a goal, but there's certain things we want to hit instead. Because like I said, I've never gone to the end by myself. I've always gone with friends or on servers. I haven't played in so long. Like, I've been kind of on and off playing on my personal, but I play incredibly slowly when I'm just goofing off by myself. Because I love like the house building and the farming aspect. And so I end up doing this thing where like I'll do like the same thing for like months and then finally move on. And so I was thinking it would be fun to do a series so that I'm kind of forced to constantly move forward, so it's not dull. Because like I'll also like I'll use a stone pickaxe for months, and everyone will be like, you have iron. I'll be like, yeah, but I'm using stone. And I'm like, well, maybe if I record it, it'll force me to move forward. Because, like, I've never had netherite armor on my own. It's always, like, been on a server and people are tired of me walking around in my leathers. I've never had, I've never tamed a turtle. I've never, because I'll play for a little bit, but like I said, I won't get very far, and then I don't have a lot of time to play. And so I thought, like I said, if I do it for the channel, maybe it'll, like, force me to move farther, faster. Also, like, this sounds bad, but I justify sometimes playing games when I have other things to do by playing them for the channel. Oh, but I need content, so this is a valid way to spend my time. Which it is, don't get me wrong. And also just playing games for fun. But sometimes it's a little bit harder to be like, I just want to play a video game and not do stuff. When I can say, like, oh, but I'm making content for the channel. So I've been thinking about doing a Minecraft series, which I know is, like, major throwback, but, like, why can't it be 2012 for an hour a week and just do, like, a vanilla Minecraft survival single player? The only thing that scares me now is I hate the new iron distribution. I like a lot of the new stuff, but I hate the new iron distribution. I hate how hard it feels to find iron. I've gone way off track, but anyways, I've been thinking about doing something like that. I've been thinking about doing a couple of, like, dungeon run kind of games because I love FTL. I haven't played in a really long time, and I was thinking it would be fun to do, like, one run videos where it's like, well, I don't know if they'd be all, like, one run videos, but, like, see how far we get in a run, and then that's just, like, however many episodes we get, and then leave it for a little while and then go back and try again, because I've never completed that game. It's super fun, but I suck at it. Which is a theme you'll notice on this channel. I seriously debated when I started this channel, I was gonna do Let's Plays, and I was gonna do a series called Amanda Sucks At, or Manders Sucks At, and then just do ... and then whatever the name of the game was. And then I was like, no, we're gonna do better self-talk. We're not gonna say that I automatically suck at this game. However, the reality of it is I'm not a very good video game player, and that's totally fine. You don't have to be good at them to play it. But so, what was my initial point with this? Oh, when I think about doing dungeon runs and things like that, I'm always like, I wonder if people would be okay, though, with potentially never seeing me win. Because, like, I love Darkest Dungeon, too. Which is, I know, such a departure from every other game I just said. But, like, I know I'm not gonna make it far, but I was like, what if we did Darkest Dungeons on the channel, too? Because, like, not 2, I don't own 2, I really want to play 2. 2 looks fun, but 2 looks like a completely different game than 1. In my humble opinion. Which is fine, they don't have to make the same game twice. But I was thinking about doing, like, Darkest Dungeons, and then just being, like, having, like, each episode be, like, a run, or, like, a dungeon. And so, like, with FTL, it would be, like, each episode is, like, a sector. I don't know. I've been thinking about these things because I just want to put more video games on the channel because I love The Sims and I will always forever be a simmer, but I'm also just a girl who has sometimes a couple hours a week after work who plays video games, and that's kind of the content I've always wanted to make, is like because like I love watching people play video games, but sometimes they're like, yeah, like I was watching a gal and I love her stuff. I watch a lot of her stuff. Her name is Alexia Ray on Twitch. But, like, she is, like, ranked and, like, very serious in Overwatch. And it's fun to watch, but, like, I will never probably ever do anything in Overwatch like that. And so it's, like, to me that's not always fun to watch because it's not a reality in my life ever. And I know it sounds silly, but you know what I mean, where I'm like, sometimes I like to hear like, yeah, I suck at this game, but it's really fun. And so that's kind of what I've been thinking about with the channel, is like, I'm gonna play these and I'm gonna suck at them, but I'm hoping people enjoy watching them because it's cozy and it's fun and we're just hanging out. I've also been thinking about streaming, but I don't think my internet will ever do that, so that's a pipe dream for right now. Anyways, this house, I was going for modern, sort of pseudo-industrial farmhouse, and I was going for my usual aesthetic, which is mid-renovation, because I love, for my Sims, my gameplay, the idea of walking into, like, an older home like this and making it look super modern, but without spending, like, a ton of money, because that's where I'm at in my house in real life. I have a 1945 farmhouse. I say I have. It's with other people. And so, like, there's things about it, like wood paneling and stuff that, like, we're not changing because that would be stupid expensive, but we're trying to make it look like a little bit more modern and not like you stepped into the 70s, although I have goldenrod and orange tile. It's muted, but it's a lot, and it would be so expensive to change the floors, so, like, obviously we're not going to change the floors, but, like, but we're trying to make it look like 2023, you know, in the South a little bit. So that's kind of the aesthetic here. The kitchen is supposed to look like a little bit outdated, but, like, a little bit like they did that intentionally too. Like, they were like, oh, this is cool and vintage. We're going to kind of roll with it, you know? And then this room ended up really Southwestern, which I did not realize until just now, but that makes sense because the whole pack is a little bit Southwestern themed, which is cool. And then the front room is a little bit more like industrial equestrian, if you will. This pack is kind of interesting because it's definitely very Western, but it has touches of like your more English style equestrian setup. It's a very interesting pack. It's very Southwestern though, which I'm not complaining about. I enjoy. It's kind of funny when you work around horses, and I've worked around horses in real life now for the majority of my life. I started when I was like 13. I have a little bit of a non-traditional horseback riding experience story, but we're not going to get into that right now. But anyways, the point I was going to make was that working with horses, and I now own horses, but I've been working with horses for a very long time, and it's kind of funny, like any hobby, but you notice it especially with like hobbies that are perhaps a little bit unusual or can be seen as character defining. You get this fun situation of everything you're ever gifted ever again has to do with that one particular hobby, which is totally fine. But I was actually talking to a buddy not too ever long ago, because I had this cable guy come in to do some work on my satellite, because some of my family members prefer to have TV. I don't really care, although I do like having some of the channels, but I was meeting him alone in the house, and he was being hella creepy and rude, made some inappropriate comments, but one of the things he said, and I was trying really hard to focus on like the slightly disgusting stuff he was saying, because I didn't want to have to kill him, you know. One of the things he said is he was like, I can tell someone in your house rides horses, but it's not like in your face. And I think what he meant was like, I didn't have tack in my living room, because a lot of people I knew growing up who had like horses had tack and stuff in their living room. And I think for me, I try very hard to keep my horse stuff, how do I put this? So that, like he said, like you can tell someone cares very deeply about horses, but it's not my whole personality trait, in part because growing up my brother was terrified of them, and so it didn't feel completely fair to make it my entire personality when it scared the ever-living tar out of my brother, right? He's better now. He's a very good uncle to my ponies. And my mom is also deathly allergic to them. Not so much anymore. We've solved it, but so I don't obviously keep any of my horse stuff in the house, really. I do have one emergency halter and lead rope that doesn't get used unless it's an emergency by the door, so that, you know, in the middle of the night I can go blowing out. But I also try to make sure that I understand, like, it's my hobby. It's not everybody's hobby, so it doesn't need to be all over the house, right? Like, there's some horse-based portraiture and, like, some cute little statuettes and stuff, but it's not, like, you wouldn't walk in my house and say it's, like, super Western. But I have to work at that, was the point I was initially making, because every gift I've gotten since, like, 2010 has been, has it been? No, that's not accurate. Is that accurate? Yeah, probably 2010. Probably earlier. Anyways, has been horse themed, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love my little statuettes. I love the art. I love that, you know, I get horseshoe keychains or necklaces that have horses on them, or, you know, I love that. Don't get me wrong. Or like I have a Christmas tree that's made out of horseshoes. It's little. It's not, I couldn't lift it if it wasn't, but it's little, and like someone gave me that, and it's really cute and stuff like that. But I try really hard to make sure that I'm not forcing it on anyone. And I have to work on it, because your house can get very, like theme park very quickly if you're not careful. And so I was trying to not do that with this house. I wanted it to be Southwestern, because I think it's a very pretty style, but I was trying very hard to make sure it wasn't like, oh, this is also themed horse girl. You know, I think there's a way to do it elegantly. And to clarify, I have nothing wrong with tack in the house, other than tack is huge, usually, and takes up a lot of space, and I don't love clutter in general. I love nesting and having stuff around me, but I like it having a purpose and a place. So, like, having a saddle in my living room would just stress me out, because that's not its place, you know? And I try to keep everything in my tack space. I don't have a tack room right now. I have, like, a little tack corner, because I only have 2 horses, so I don't really need, like, a whole tack room. So I just stole a corner of, we call it the tandem, because it used to be a tandem garage, but it's actually just storage right now. So yeah, I don't remember what the original point of that story was, other than just know, like, if you start riding horses in any capacity, everything you own for the next 40 years will slowly morph into a horse, and you have to work really hard to have a personality trait outside of horses. not to say that it's not great to have your entire personality be horses, and I literally, if you met me in real life, you would know within about 30 seconds that I own horses. And you would know within about 30 seconds that they are my entire world. Like, my horses, my dogs, and my kitty cats. But nonetheless, I try not to be one of those people who's like super one-dimensional and only talks about one thing. I try really hard to have like multiple hobbies. You're supposed to have what? Like a hobby for sport, a hobby for creativity, a hobby for money making, which I do not have, and there's a hobby for something else and I can't remember what it is. But I always joke the horses are the sport because they are. It's a lot of work to maintain yourself. I have to like cross train and all of that stuff, and then I paint and I read and I take photos, a lot of photos. So I used to do it like pseudo professionally. Anyways, where are we now? We're doing the barn. This barn is kind of cute. It's just little 3-horse. It would be great. I wish I had something like this on my property. Although, to be honest with you, my girls don't really do stalls. Because, like, my property was originally a horse property when there was a lot more property to it. And then, you know, it slowly sold off throughout the years and stuff. And then sometime in the mid, like, 50s, I believe it was, they said it was turned into a dairy. So where my horses live is actually the old, like, dairy building. And what I did is, because it's just a big, like, it's, like, 14 by 18, I think, is I just, like, matted that whole thing. And then changed up the doors a little bit, and then just turned it into like a giant shared stall, and the doors are always open, and then it leads out into like this covered area and what we call the corral, where they can always hang out, and then the gate to the arena from the corral is always open so that they can go out into the arena and play and roll and do whatever they want. But then there's like a walkway that's always open during the daytime, that they can go out to the daytime pasture. And the daytime pasture is huge, and it's where like they can go forage and stuff. The reason it's only a daytime pasture is because it's on the side of the property that runs up against the public road, and it's not a hugely traveled public road, but it is unfortunately the road everyone takes when they're trying to avoid getting on the highway, the 2-lane highway, which means unfortunately we get speeding traffic and we get drunk traffic, and I'm always just a little bit afraid someone's going to take the curve by my house too fast and end up parked in my pasture. And so I don't let the girls stay out there at night, because I worry. So, although, to be honest with you, it's only happened once, only once, but they actually just missed my property and went to my neighbor's property, but they did it in broad daylight, and unfortunately, they were drunk driving, which I did not appreciate. Like, I was all super worried, and I was still worried to a point, but I was all super worried because I flipped their car, and I was like, oh my god. And my mom actually saw it happen, and she was freaking out. And so my dad went up to go do the rescue, and I called 911 and stayed with my mom. Obviously, we were like, oh my god. And it was a Subaru Outback, and so I was like, that's, like, around here at least, that's like a mom car, right? And so I was like, oh my god, what if there's kids in the car? What if it was like a little person, and they had a health issue? Like, you know, we were all freaking out and stuff. And we got up there, and thank goodness she was okay. Like, I wouldn't want hurt on anyone, but it was just a single lady, and she was drunk out of her mind. And I was like, ma'am, you could have hurt a lot of people being that drunk. She did not even realize. She was so out of it, she did not realize she flipped her car. And I was like, ma'am, you are so out of it right now that you don't even realize you just had a major wreck. You just totaled your car. And it was in the middle of the summertime, so it was like 100 some odd degrees. And her car, she did, like, it was still running, flipped over, and I was like, you almost lit my neighbor's entire field on fire. Like, you were literally, like, a couple hundred feet from taking out my horses. You were a couple hundred feet from taking out my house. You don't even realize this. What if you had come around the corner and there had been kids, because kids ride their bikes and stuff on this road? I was heated. They did not let me talk to her, understandably. I did not go up to the crash scene, because I was like, I will say not nice things, because I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I do not have any love lost for drunk drivers. I think I've said that on this channel before. That's the easiest way to make me not your friend, is to do stupid things while drunk. I don't mind drinking. You do you. I don't drink just because I don't like the taste of it. But, you know, if you can handle your liquor responsibly, do it. But if you get behind the wheel of a car, we are no longer friends. And there's basically nothing you can do in this world to convince me otherwise. It would take a lot to convince me to continue to be friends. We don't drink and drive on this channel. Call that a controversial opinion if you want. That's the hill I die on. This is such a weird conversation. I'm literally on top of it too. there's a nectar making station in this house, so that's kind of a funny conversation to be having while you're watching me build a nectar making station. But nectar making is really lucrative in this game, and your Sims can't drunk drive because there's no cars. And they don't really get drunk, they get dazed. And it seems like you can't do a lot when you're dazed, which is cool. Because we don't condone riding horses while drunk either. I've seen that go poorly too. But yeah, there's a nectar making station in this house. It's 1 bedroom, 1 bath. I'm getting back to the build. Look at me being on top of things. It's a very southwestern inspired build, although I will say the barn is significantly more, I was gonna say it's pretty American red barn, but the layout is a little bit more English style. I forget the name of the layout now, but it's a kind of a more specific layout where it's all out on a rail like that. There's place for goats. There's a goat run-in, and there's a little storage space, just because it seems like you collect a lot of stuff with this pack. Place for 3 horses, a bunch of goats and sheep. They have a shared pasture space as well as a tack-up space because this is one of those lots where there's barrels and jumps nearby, so you don't need them on property. This is the little starter lot down in the bottom right of the world. And there's a little nectar making station too because that's super duper lucrative in this pack. I did put pictures in the house, which might make it say it's going to render up in CC when I eventually get this up in the gallery. I will let y'all know. But it's just the pictures of the horses that live here in my game, just to make it look a little homier. See, there's a nose over there on the thing. But anyways, I've been talking for forever, and now that I've lectured you on drunk driving, and I've lectured you on a bunch of other nonsense, and you know that if you ride horses, your house is going to look a little bit like a tack shop, throw up all over it, no matter what you do, I'm going to go, because I've talked a lot. But anyways, I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you're feeling loved, and I hope you know that I love you, and I'm glad you exist. I'm glad you're here and hanging out. I hope you know you make the world a better place just by being you, and you make my world a better place by being you and being here. And I will talk to y'all in the next one. Bye-bye!